Well, hey folks, and welcome to Solar Cabin Channel. It's been a while since I made a video. I know some of you have been complaining, so I thought I'd let you know what I've been up to. I am it's early spring here, and it's too early to get outside and work in my yard much other than just doing some cleaning. Can't do any planting yet this time of year. So it is a good time, though, to get a head start on getting my chickens built back up. Because I've had chickens now about 10 years. Over time, some of them just die of natural causes, and sometimes the predators around here, the foxes and the raccoons, and that'll get them. And so I'm now down to 2 old hens, and it's time to rebuild my stock of chickens. But I don't really need a lot of eggs, and so this year I'm going with bantams. That's the little bitty chickens, the little teeny ones. And they still produce eggs, but they don't produce as many eggs, and it takes more of them to make a meal. But they also are a lot of fun to raise. They're a little bit more personable. They like people. They don't even mind being petted, and they also come in a lot of varieties that are just really fun to look at. So, but the way you brood chickens, which means to raise them from chicks, not eggs, the way you brood chickens, it is the same for whether they're a standard full-size breed or bantams. It doesn't matter. So what I'm going to show you here will work for either type of chicken. This is about off-grid brooding. And there is a difference in off-grid brooding and standard brooding. Generally, in people that have regular power at their house, they use what they call a heat lamp or a brooder lamp, and they put that in there. I don't like those. I didn't even like them when I was on-grid because they tend to get overheated. So the chicks will move way far away from them when they're too hot, and then they'll scramble underneath them when they're cold, and it leaves a lot of cold spots around it. And it's not like they would be raised naturally because they can't get right up underneath the lamp like they would like to be underneath a chicken. So I'm going to show you some ways to raise and brood chicks off-grid, which is how I live, using a 12-volt system, and it works really well. So let me just show you my setup here. Okay, first off, I've raised 6 regular size hens from chicks in this same setup, so this works regardless. I've got 5 little bantams in here. Now first I should tell you, when I get my birds, I don't get mail order birds, and I don't recommend you get mail order birds. They are generally not as healthy when they come through the mail order. You're probably going to have some that are already dead by the time they arrive, and you're gonna be disappointed. Okay, you're gonna spend more money because you're sending them through the mail. You're better off getting them at a feed supply store, and I get mine at the farmer supply store down here. Sometimes I'll even special order them in, but these I just got as what they call straight run. And you got straight run or you got a pick of run. With straight run, you don't know how many roosters and hens you're going to get. With a pick of run, then you can be a little bit more picky, maybe get all hens if you don't want a rooster. I actually wanted a rooster with this because I want them to raise their own babies, hopefully. And so that's the idea. Now what I'm using here is I've got a tub. I don't know how many gallons this is. Oh, it's a 32-gallon tub, it says. And you can see it's been through the ringer. I used it for a lot of different things before I turned it into a brooder. But I just got a 32-gallon tub, no lid on it. And then I use some old window screen on top of it there. That's just because once they get big enough, then they'll try and jump out of the brooder. And so the chicken screen just lets them know that there's a lid on it so they don't try to jump out. That's really all it is, just to let them know. They won't push up against it. So let me show you what I got inside here. And you can settle down. Now I have been raising chicks for a long time. And one thing that I know is when you get them home, you want to start handling them right away. Because that gets them used to you. And they'll be calm. In fact, they love to be petted. Especially these bantams. And they don't like to be petted on their back, though, but they like their gizzards. See, watch this, and she'll come running right up to my hand here. She loves to be petted. Hey, good girl. Huh, do you want to get up there? Now, I'm going to show you what these breeds are here in just a minute. But what I've got here, and I'm going to show you this brooder. This little fuzzy butt. Get off there. She's trying to get up on my hand here. This one here, let the camera adjust to you so we get a good shot of you. This one here I call parakeet, or just keet. Because she's got a golden color. And I'm going to show you. Whoa, relax, relax, relax. Woo! Okay. She's got a golden color to her. Right now she's a little bit rough because her real feathers, her regular feathers are coming in. But she looks like a parakeet. and she's got that real golden color. And she's going to have, we'll show you, she will have little black rings around the ends of her feathers. Once she gets fully feathered out, she's going to be just a gorgeous bird. And I'll show you what she looks like and what all these look like as adults. Here, you want to come see me again? Oh, there you go. Now she loves, every time I put my hand in here, she's the first one to run over and try and get in my hand. She looks a little rough right now, but she's really, really friendly. She's going to be a great bird. And I'm hoping that she's a hen. I don't know for sure if she's a hen or a rooster. That's the problem with these. Now, I can tell on some of these others whether they're going to be hens or roosters, and I'll show you. But she will have a golden color to her. And I'll give you the names of these, and I'll tell you exactly, show you what they look like when they get grown up. These are all bantams here. I'm going to put you back down in there so I can show the supplies here. And here's a little, this one here's a little fuzzy footer. Put her down there. Now, I'm going to show you this. This is how I heat my brooder, and it's a little dirty. You can see they're pooped all over it here. But what this is made by EcoGlow. It's called the EcoGlow 20. It's made by, you can get it on Brinze, BRINSEA.com. You can buy them on Amazon. Now, the difference between this and a heat lamp. This runs off 12 volt, and it's got, what it's got underneath it, it's got a hot plate basically that always stays the same temperature. It's got a hot plate, and then they can crawl right underneath it. What they do is they go right underneath the edge here, just like if they was under a mama chicken. They go right underneath there when they're cold and they get warm. And then when they're warm enough, they come out, and most of the daytime, they stay out in the run, okay? Because I keep this inside my cabin. My cabin stays a fairly good temperature, around 70 degrees, 72 degrees, somewhere around there. So only when they're cold or at night, then they'll get underneath the brooder here. And it has a 12 volt cord plug-in, but it runs to a transformer, so you can run it off of 110, or you could hook it up to 12 volt. And this uses very, very little power, and that's what I love about this, is it will run on just a single battery. It'll run all night without running your battery down. In fact, I've got a 400 watt system here in my cabin, and we had about 3 days where we didn't have really good sunshine, so I didn't want to run my batteries down. So I actually hooked this up to an inverter on my truck battery and just let it run all night. And in the morning, I still started my truck right up because it hadn't really used very much power at all. So that's really important for off-grid. Again, that's made by Brinze, BRINSEA.com, EcoGlow 20. They're not cheap. They run about $79, this one like this. They may have different models, I don't know, or even different brands out there. But you're probably going to be using this for many seasons of raising chicks if you do. So it's a worthwhile product. And for off-grid, it's pretty much what you got to have, because the heat lamp takes way too much power for an off-grid system. So those are really excellent. And they're made, this can be raised up. So as your chickens get bigger, all you do is just raise this panel up on these legs. And then as they get bigger, they can still get underneath it without having to crawl in, okay? When they're real small, I put it on the lowest level, and then after a couple of weeks, I raise it up another level. A couple of weeks, I raise it up another level. Okay, so that's the brooder. And there's all the chicks, and they just discovered, oh, the brooder's not in here. We're going to I'm running around there. Okay, we'll put the brooder back in. Oh, settle down now. Okay, and then this is just a little bit of advice. Little chickens and big chickens are messy. They scratch. The little chickens will get in and scratch just like big chickens do, looking for food. In fact, that's what they're kind of doing now. They're all kind of just scratching around. Even though there's food over there, they'll come over here and scratch around on the dirt. That's a natural instinct for all chickens, to kind of scratch around and look for food. And so you'll need a feeder of some sort. And I recommend metal instead of plastic. I got a metal feeder because they'll last a lot longer. They won't crack. And they're actually easier to clean. So I've got a metal feeder with slots in them so they can get in there. And then you just put your feed in top. Or this is made so you can screw it onto a quart bottle and just fill your quart bottle up and it'll just stay full. I generally just take a handful of food and get it in there. Now, talking about food, that's really important. When you first get your chickens, you want to get chick starter, but I highly suggest, that you get a chick starter that is medicated like this one. And you don't need a big bag. This is just a small bag. Looks like it's a 5-pound bag. For their first feed, get them a medicated chick starter, because almost all chickens now that come out of the commercial breeders will have coccidosis, which is, I think it's a bacteria if I remember right. But it causes them to get really sick, and you'll have chickens dead if you don't give them some medicated starter. Once this bag is gone, then you can switch to some different feed. Then you can go to a cheaper feed like this here. This is Do More 20%, which has a little bit more protein than the other. This is 20% protein starter grower. So this will make them bulk up fast, put on some weight fast, so that they, as they're growing, they'll get more nutrition out of this than they will the medicated. And this isn't medicated, so it's a lot cheaper. That little bag cost about $7, and this is a 20-pound bag that costs the same price, about $7. So it's cheaper to go with this once you've fed them the medicated. But if you give them the medicated, you'll be a lot happier and have a lot more healthier chicks, and you'll have a lot less die off, what they call just a natural death. They just the bacteria just gets to them and undoes their systems for them, and then they pass away. So then I made my own water, because these bantams tend to be a bit messy in their water. And what I did here is I just took a coffee bottle, okay, plastic coffee bottle, and I just cut a big enough slot in there, and then I just fill it up to that mark down there. And you can see they've already got some stuff floating around in it in there. And that makes a nice fancy little water for in here, and it's real easy to fill, you know, here in the house without having to have one of those big waters, big plastic ones that they make for commercial, for outside. Those are great for outside, but they don't work very well in a brooder. So a little one like this tends to work better, stays cleaner, and I only have to empty it a couple times a day and put in some fresh water for them. And then I recommend that you don't set those right on the floor. And you can see what I did here. I've got a cement patio block, and I've just stuck a cement patio block on there. That keeps them from scraping this fluff, their bedding into the food and into the water. And you know, so it just keeps it cleaner. And then that's about it. That's really all you need for a brooder. Okay, the bedding is just pine shaving bedding, which you can get at any pet store or farm supply store. I wouldn't suggest you get the great big bags, because you're never going to use it, and I don't recommend having too much in here, because what happens is as they poop in it and everything like that, you're going to have to clean it out about once a week. It'll start smelling in here. And so if you have less bedding, you can just scrape it all up, throw it in your trash, and put a new layer of bedding down there, because they are going to scratch it up no matter what. It's just what chickens do. So now I'm going to tell you about some of these breeds I got here. And we'll go ahead and I'm going to show you what they are, and then I'll show you what they look like when they get older. Okay, now this little girl here I call Parakeet, because she's got such a golden color, and she's the most friendly of the bunch. She's always trying to get into my hand. Now she is what I believe will be what they call a Sebring. Come here so they can see you. Come here. She will be what I believe the breed is called a Sebring. And she may or may not have the black rings around her feathers. I can't tell for sure. She's looking a little bit rough right now, because she's just getting her real feathers in. So she's a little bit rough right now. But she's got a really pretty, you can see how beautiful her head is. She looks a lot like a parakeet. And she's really, really friendly, and loves to always run around in my hand here. So that's one breed that I have. And then these little girls right here, these are feather. You can see she's got feather feet, and this is a blue silky or a gray silky, just depending on what they're going to look like. You can see she's got a lot of grayish kind of coming up. She'll get a little bit lighter as she's growing up, getting up. She's got a little wider spot on the top of her head there. And this is what they call a silky. Oh, nice poop on my table there. And they are very fuzzy chickens. And I will show you, stay here. I will show you what these look like as an adult. And then this little fella here, I'm pretty sure he's going to be a rooster. And this is a Belgian. And if you look close, he's got kind of a fuzzy head. Now I call this one shaky. You notice he keeps shaking his head? He does that every time I talk. I don't know if my voice irritates him or what, but I started calling him shaky because every time I start talking to him, he shakes his head. He just doesn't like it. And he's got a beautiful, he's starting to get his feathers in, and he's quite a bit bigger. He's almost twice as big as the others, so I'm pretty sure he's going to be a rooster, okay? And I've got another one, and then I've got a little female here. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a hen that's also a Belgian. You can see the beautiful colors that they have on them here. Now, they're all just starting to get their real feathers, so they all look just a little bit rough. But I call this one here Chipmunk because she's got a stripe down her back just like a chipmunk does. And she's smaller than the males, or smaller than the other one, so I'm pretty sure what I've got is at least one rooster and one hen here. And you can see she's very friendly. You can see the beautiful eye markings are under there. Okay, and I'll show you what these look like as adults. So I'm pretty sure that these are Belgians here, and they're just gorgeous little birds. Okay, we'll put her back in. Okay, folks, so that's my brooder, off-grid brooder setup, and as you can see, it doesn't take a whole lot to brood. You know, a basic system like this, you can brood about 6 chickens, either bantams or regular sized chickens. And the only thing you want to remember when you first get them home, make sure you have a place for them to get warm, because they're going to be cold just in the short time you bring them home. They're going to get cold, so you want to make sure you have your brooder set up in advance. And then dip their little beaks in the water so they know where the water is, and so that they can get some water right away, because all they've been doing is living on what's left of the albumin that was in the egg that's stored in their stomach. That's what they've been living on for usually 2 or 3 days, especially if you just get them home from the mail or something like that. They probably haven't had a chance to drink. So dip their beaks in the water, and I usually do that 2 or 3 times the first day until they start drinking. And that's the most important thing. Watch that they are drinking and eating. If they're drinking and eating, they're probably going to survive. Now, don't be disappointed if 1 or 2 of them don't make it anyway. It's just one of the hazards of raising chickens without a hen raising them, is sometimes they'll just spontaneously die for no apparent reason. You don't really know why. Sad thing, but it's just part of raising, breeding chickens. But if you give them the medicated feed, and you make sure they have clean water, good bedding, and a nice brooder like I showed you there, or a brooder lamp if you have to use one, then you'll probably have good success with your chicks. Now I'm also going to include the free plans for my chicken tractor, which works perfectly for bantams, which I'll put these in when they're ready. When they're fully feathered out here in about a month, then I'll put them out in the chicken coop. I include the free plans there. Just click on the link in the comments, and you can download the plans. Come by my website, see my other plans. I've got some nice new stuff coming on there. I'm going to start doing some more small cabin, off-grid cabin plans. My website is simple+solar+homesreading.com. Come on by there. Get yourself a package deal on some off-grid cabin plans or some of my other projects that I've built over the years. And, you know, just stop and say hi. All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you'll take an opportunity to raise some chickens, because they're a lot of fun. They are also one of the most productive animals that you can raise on your farm, really, because you're going to get eggs, and you're going to get meat, and you're going to get fertilizer. And my plan is I'm going to raise up some of these bantams, and hopefully they'll raise their own chicks, and then I can resell the chicks to recover my cost for raising the birds. Don't plan on making a lot of money from it, but if it covers my costs for food and stuff like that, that more than pays for itself. All right, folks. I had a lot of fun making this video and showing you my chickens. Have a great day.